For most sellers, Mercari is a phenomenal marketplace for selling trading cards. The only issues really arise on two different points. Mercari is growing a lot. It's becoming a lot bigger, but it's not as big as eBay. That being said, there's a lot smaller customer base. It is far less expensive to do business on Mercari. With more customer base, and I'm gonna use eBay as an example, there are a lot more sellers. There's a lot more competition. So depending on what you're selling, you almost have to pay for promotional items, and that varies in price. With most Pokemon cards, it's 8.4% on top of the 13% you have to pay, not even counting transaction fees. So I did some analytics recently, and on eBay, I think my typical cost of acquisition is almost 26%, which may be higher than a lot of sellers. But it's easier not to necessarily acknowledge how much it's costing you to sell your inventory. Mercari is far, far, far less expensive. It's less competitive. It's a very good community. Customer support is highly accessible as well. I've had plenty of issues on both. They happen sometimes. If you're selling volume, you're going to run into problems, both with the platform and with customers. And what a good gauge of the performance of the overall platform you're using, if you're not counting raw numbers, is how well that site responds when you have an issue. And I will tell you this, eBay never has the buyer's back, never, on anything. Seller can always return, which is why it's best, if somebody wants to return an item, let them return the item. Just do it. Don't even argue it, because they will be able to return the item. It'll be forced. So that is pretty much with all platforms. It's not a big deal. You just pay what you have to pay, refund what you have to refund once you get it back, and check that everything's good, and then move on and sell it to the next person who decides they want the item. Mercari, though, is just, I think it's a better platform for trading cards. There aren't as many people on there, but it's got a very strong buying community for both Magic and Pokemon. Right now, I would say it's stronger in Pokemon cards. So the raw numbers of how many people are out there, if you're selling domestically exclusive, because you can't sell internationally on Mercari, it just doesn't allow for that. If you're selling domestically cards, generally people pay less money for those cards on Mercari. They pay more on eBay. That being said, if you have to pay promotional expenses with selling those cards, I don't feel like the increased sales price is really going to make up for what you have to pay in fees. I really don't. I've sold a lot of cards, and I think for the most part, Mercari is a better platform. However, they do have a cap on what you can sell. The most expensive item you can sell at this time is $2,000. So if you're dealing with high-end cards, that kind of knocks out Mercari as the platform. If it's less than $2,000 for the card, I would highly recommend listing them on both, or just listing them on Mercari. The most luck I've had on cards on Mercari are cards less than $500. They've moved very quick. It's got a way where people can like an item, and it's very easy to promote. And when you promote, it drops the price by 5%. All the people who are watching it are notified, and it increases it in the listings. You can automate that process or do it yourself. So if you're doing it yourself, you can do it on 10 different items or cards a day, and it will bump up your viewability. And inevitably what happens is you get more listings available. A certain percentage of those impressions, when it gets promoted, are going to cross over into other items. I don't know how many times I've promoted listings, and then suddenly I've had a rash of sales on cards that I did not promote, right? Sometimes people will see that and they'll check out everything else and they'll ask to bundle. And I'm absolutely happy to do that. So I just wanted to give a little bit of information on what I personally think. I think everybody should do what works for them. But personally, for me, I think Mercari should absolutely not be overlooked. I think it's grown a ton as a platform. I think in certain categories, it is going to pass up eBay.